I might as well buy a crystal ball because I am reading people's futures.
He's unbothered.
What's up, everybody? Thai Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Okay, so Ian
Respect my authority!
Rineer is losing it, legit losing it. And that's why I say I should be reading people's futures, because I told you guys last week, people like that will end up ruining themselves. And that's what's happening with Ian Rineer. Ian Rineer showed up the other night at Dive Bar. I was hanging out at Dive Bar because I was there to watch a couple of friends. And while I'm there, I might as well do a set, because Dive Bar is one of the toughest open mics in Las Vegas. And it really is like a hard room sometimes. But I'm so about trying to work on this new material and get the words out that I'm not really too worried about audience, so I will show up at places like the Dive Bar. It's like any place they'll have me, any place they're doing a mic, I'll definitely show up, because I know that I have a lot of work to do. I want to work on more and more new stuff all the time, and anybody that's watching me on this comedy scene knows I am about practicing what you preach. I do Comedy Tip Tuesdays almost every Tuesday. Today I didn't do one because I had a lot of stuff going on with the other apartment, still going through that whole mess, so I wasn't able to do a Comedy Tip Tuesday today. But if you've ever paid attention to my Comedy Tip Tuesdays, they're getting more and more popular, and I do give actual comedy advice. But I feel like, how can I be giving these newer comics advice when I'm not doing exactly what it is I'm talking about, when I'm not actually showing them? Otherwise, I'm just a guy saying that I, feel certain ways about stand-up, and then it's like, well, why should we listen to you? It's not like you're ever out, it's not like you're ever around, and I am out and I am around. I had to take some time off for my hernia surgery, but even that was minimal. I was back to doing comedy in a week, technically less than a week, like 6 days I was back doing comedy. So you can't say that I'm not actually out practicing what I preach, which is one of the weird things. Like, and Ian doesn't even realize this because he was so drunk. So what happened was, I was at Dive Bar, and then Ian Rineer shows up, which I don't think anything about anybody showing up anywhere. It's just not the way I'm going to run my life. Like, you can show up anywhere you want to show up. I'm going to be where I am, and that's just what it is. But what was interesting about this was, first, Ian's girlfriend comes in by herself, Juliana, and Juliana is mad at me because me and Ian got in an argument a couple months back in my Facebook comments, because I had mentioned him because he had yelled at another friend of mine, not the David Hewlett story that I talked about last week. This was him falling apart again, yelling at another friend of mine about being friends with me, and literally that's what he was. I'm not exaggerating any of this. This is as childish as this person is, right? So he yelled at somebody else, and I ended up calling that out in some way, and even provided proof via a screenshot of a text message between me and that friend. And the friend even jumped on and was like, yeah, you were yelling at me. But like I said, Ian tries to gaslight everybody into thinking that he's not doing what he's doing, when clearly he's doing exactly what he's doing. So my friend refused. Anthony Victorson was a friend. I don't mind saying which friend it was. Stuck by his guns and was just like, yeah, you were yelling at me. And he's not going to be talked out of or gaslit into saying anything that isn't true. And so that was what the situation was. So, what happened, the other night was, Ian comes in drunk off his fucking ass, sends Juliana in. And like I said, when me and Ian had gotten that argument on my comments, Juliana's been forever hurt because I said something about her being fat, or I said, like, something about calories in versus calories out. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was witty, it was quippy. It wasn't your average fat joke, but it definitely was me calling her fat. And I want you to stop me when I lie. I mean, like, the truth is, Juliana may not, well, she has to know it, I mean, like, she's fat. That's what it is. And like, I don't mind calling people fat, because what was happening in that situation exactly was, Ian was trying to lie about me once again. Juliana was backing up his lie, which I had always liked Juliana. That's the truth about Juliana. She doesn't like me because Ian doesn't like me. And I get that maybe because she's from the South, or, she's from North Carolina, I believe, or we bonded over North Carolina. That's how we actually started talking, because there was this club called Club Oz that I don't know if it's there anymore, but it was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And she had been there. She had also been to a club called Legends, which I think Legends is in South Carolina, but I could be wrong about that. or maybe it's in Charlottesville. I can't remember. But anyway, we had talked about these two particular gay clubs that were around forever ago. And Juliana and myself are around the same age. I'm not sure. I didn't ask her age. But anyway, like I did like her. But then, like, once you lie about me or once you take up for somebody that's just being shitty about me, then I don't like you anymore. So I said she was fat and she got devastated by it because she's probably been fat all her life and people have thrown that at her and she's been bullied. And she talks about like being anti-bullying. Meanwhile, her boyfriend is constantly trying to bully me and she doesn't step in for that. But I get it. I guess it's like a stand by your man type of thing. That's the best I can say, which I don't really respect people when they do that. You know, I'd like to say, like, I respect that you're standing by your man. No, if you're a good partner, and I'm not going to gender this and say a good woman or a good man, I'm going to honestly say if you're a good partner, male or female, what you would do when you see that kind of behavior is you'd be like, hey, you're making yourself look bad right now. Because the other night, Ian came in and made himself look bad. And at a point, the Las Vegas comedy scene is going to have to take some accountability for the fact that they're really putting up with a lot of bullshit behavior by this particular person that doesn't have a real talent other than getting rooms, and for some reason allowing him to try to bully me. It's not going to be effective. That's why I say try to bully me, but he definitely does try to bully me. And the other night when we were at Dive Bar, I'm there for the mic. I'm a comedian there to work on my stuff. I'm there for a mic. And Ian comes in, and originally when he walked towards me, because he walked towards me, and I think the first thing that surprised him was I just made eye contact with him. I think he thought he was going to be intimidating and I was going to look down from him or something. No, I don't look down from telling the truth. I don't. I would look down if I lied about you. I would look down if I was doing something wrong. I'm not looking down when you walk up to me. And so, like, you know, and also the other thing was he had his hand out. He had put his hand out originally, like he wanted to shake my hand, which I've told you guys before. I don't think me and Ian should be arguing. I found out Ian didn't like me through other people. That's how much bitch shit this was. And so, and then he tried to deny that too originally, and then he got busted because I was like, okay, then I'll actually name names. And I named names at a point, and it was like Ralph Tutela, Joe Podoto, Ryan Barassa. Love you, Ryan Barassa. Didn't mean to forget your name there. But like there were several people. Even Garrett Hall had told me about him when me and Garrett Hall were friends, which one day I'll talk about Garrett Hall and why I don't like Garrett Hall specifically, why I don't like him, I don't respect him. And it's not even that I don't like him. I really did like him, but I just can't respect him because of the way that he's handled certain things to deal with all of this. And I don't feel bad about any of this or like I lost a friend. No, I lost a person that I thought was a friend, and I don't mind saying that. And so what happened was, like I said, Ian has been talking about me quite a bit, and he shows up to the mic and he's like yelling at a point, you know, what's he doing here? I mean, what's he doing here? He's working for free at midnight. Oh yeah, I'll work for free at midnight. But first, like, he came up to shake my hand, like I said, and I was cool with like the handshake because we shouldn't be going through anything really, me and Ian. I've said that over and over. I'm cool if you want to shake my hand and just say, let's just be cool. I'll be cool with it. So I was receptive to that, but then instead of like continuing to shake my hand, which I hadn't put my hand out yet, I was just walking towards him. I noticed his eyes are all bugged out and cokey, you know, like literally they were bugged out and cokey, like they were going, they look like googly eyes that you buy for like Halloween or arts and crafts. You know what I'm talking about. So he looks at me like that, and then he's like, are you going on? Are you going on? And then again, it hits me that he's being a dick right now. This is like his way of like being passive aggressive, you know, by smiling at me, asking if you're going on in that condescending tone, and then being like, yeah, fucking cool. You know, he was like that ridiculous dad shit. Cause he thinks he's cool, but he's really like the not cool dad. And so I'm like, whatever when he says that, you know, and then he's over in the corner talking to Sean Roton, which I had just talked to Sean Roton, and Sean Roton's one of the local comics, you know, he goes to a lot of the open mics and stuff like that. And so he was talking to Sean Roton, and he's like, you know, well, what's he doing here working for free? And it's like, I'm a stand-up comedian at an open mic working new material. So you're an open mic producer. This isn't your show. Your show just wrapped up. You were drunk as fuck at your own show. I know because a bunch of people told me couldn't handle your fucking alcohol there either, because I'm ruining you, because I've gotten in your head and you are using me as an excuse to ruin yourself, Ian.
Respect my authority.
Rineer. And this is what I was saying that Juliana should tell you. A good partner would say, stop ruining yourself about this person that doesn't give two shits about you. Because that's where I am with Ian Rineer. I do not give two shits about him. I will talk about him on my podcast because it is content, and also because I want to shine a spotlight on the fact that this grown man is trying to bully me, another grown man, and it's not going to be effective. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show everybody why it is you are nothing, Ian.
Respect my authority!
Rineer. And when I say that, I don't mean that as a person, even though I don't consider you to be anything as a person. But as far as the comedy world, you are nothing. You don't help anybody out. You're only here to help yourself. If you cared about the comedy community, you wouldn't be trying to keep people from learning from me and from seeing what it is I do. Because even though like people like Ian Rineer will try to act like I'm not doing a lot, like I said, I'm showing what I do all the time. Like I'm doing well everywhere, and I'm doing new material all the time, which is the epitome of what a comic is supposed to do. I've also got some other like big stuff coming up that I'll make announcements about, like coming up in the future, but I don't like to talk about anything until contracts are completely signed. So there's also that. But I'm trying to be as cool as possible because Ian's over there talking shit about me. And even though this is a dive bar, and it is literally a dive bar, I still do have respect for the room. So I don't let the two get in the way. Like there's no reason we should be arguing in the first place, but if you want to argue with me, that's going to have to just be your argument. Like I'm not joining in. So what happens is I go up to do my set. Ian's talking about me throughout the whole time. He doesn't realize that a friend of mine is recording our sets, you know, his set and my set. And so that is getting picked up. Like Ian's conversation is getting picked up, which I'm going to have the audio cleaned up on that. And then I'll probably share some of it with you guys in a future episode, just so you guys can see Ian with his own words actually saying the kind of stuff he says about me. And he's just obsessive about me. It's like he's talking about, at one point in the recording, you can hear him talking about the fact that, you know, who does Thai Rivera have that I don't have? I mean, Marsha Warfield, I have Marsha Warfield. The only thing I ever used Marsha Warfield for was my comedy festival, and I wasn't even the person that Marsha did it for. Like Marsha did that as a favor to us and the LGBT community, but she actually did that for Stephen Roberts. So even connecting me with Marsha Warfield, I don't know where that connection is made, because I have been a fan of Marsha Warfield for a long time, for many, many years, all the way since like the 80s. And I'm not even joking, when I was just a kid watching stand-up, but I was a fan of Marsha Warfield back then. And so I have a lot of respect for Marsha Warfield, but I don't have a connection to her, and I wouldn't lie to you guys and make it seem like I do. Apparently, Ian Rineer thinks he does, and he also thinks that's like trumping in some way. And so he's like, you know, who does he have that I don't have? Marsha Warfield? I had Marsha Warfield. Blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, he's trying to talk about me, and like in some weird way, and also talking about how the dive bar sucks and his rooms are better than the dive bar, or his open mic is better than the dive bar. And then it's like, are you really trying to compete with the dive bar right now? Because you're two completely different things. Like you keep trying to compete with people that don't care about you, Ian. Like Randall Thompson I know very well, and Randall Thompson is cool with you, and he doesn't say anything disparaging behind your back. But at the same time, I think if Randall Thompson knew that you were trying to compare your room, the free zone, to the dive bar, he'd be like, yeah, that's stupid. I'm not competing with anybody. Because that's the way I feel. Like I just said, Ocha Bar is becoming one of the best open mics, if not the best open mic in Las Vegas. That's something I stand by, and that's just because of the fun that we offer. It's because of some of the help that I offer. It's because, like, we are creating a sense of community in that small little spot, you know, and it's just all the way around something special. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that you're doing something special, but that doesn't mean that anybody has to try to compete with me over it. Like if you want to have the best Wednesday night or the best Sunday night, like Ian has like 4 nights, 5 nights of the week, so why don't you make one of those the best and just prove me wrong that way? Why would you come to the dive bar and like at a point he said that I need to be punched in the face? That I don't think we have on video, but like that's something several people witnessed, to the point where other comics were around me just to make sure that nothing stupid happened, because he came in acting stupid. And what people don't get is I meant it when I said that I will not be putting up with any violence, especially towards me on the Las Vegas comedy scene. If you come at me in any kind of situation, I don't care whose rules are about what or who calls what snitching, I'm fucking calling the police and I'm ruining your fucking life. You keep your fucking hands to yourself, Ian.
Respect my authority!
Rineer and anybody else that has that crazy idea that you think you're going to put your hands on me. That's not the way this is going to work. I am a professional comedian actually working on new stuff, and I don't need to be bothered. So anyway, he was just ruining himself, and it was embarrassing. And I think if he had any real friends, because I saw him talk to Brad Golby, and I saw him try to talk to a couple other people, and it's like he's trying to go to them and be kind of halfway nice and seem like the good guy, but it's like you can't be the good guy when somebody has said nothing to you. And if you ever wanted to talk to me about anything I said on my podcast, that's what Ian would not tell people, is I have sent him text messages where I've repeatedly asked him to talk on the phone at points where he's pissed me off, and I've been like, you know what, this is the kind of thing that two adults should just talk about. This doesn't have to be a public thing. This can be just us getting this straightened out. I've made that offer to him several times. He will not take the offer. There are other friends that have tried to tell him, look, Ty doesn't want to have a problem with you. Ty actually is just responding to what you're doing. Like I told you guys last week, the only time I address things about Ian
Respect my authority!
Rineer is when enough people come to me with them that I get like, okay, I guess he really wants me to say something right now because he's really laying it on thick. Like he'll tell people all sorts of shit about me, just like I said last week when David Hewlett told me that Ian was so angry and yelled at him because he hates me so much about, David Hewlett working with me and AJ at Ocha Bar. So it's just like, why would you keep embarrassing yourself this way? I don't get the point of continuously embarrassing yourself about somebody that thinks of you as podcast content at best. Like, I think that's the most Ian has to offer. I guess keep making an ass of yourself so I can keep making episodes about you, because people are just really learning what the real you is about, and you're the one showing them. It's not even anything about what I'm doing. It really is about you actually showing them. Delilah is another one that constantly shows her ass, and the only reason I bring her up again is because I didn't fully express it last week, but the reason that I don't like Delilah, the reason that I don't respect Delilah is because, yeah, you may think that something shady happened with Ocha Bar and me. I've already proven nothing has. I mean, like, I can provide text messages. I can show you guys the whole way that went down. And on the episode that I talked about her, I think it was called My Delilah is what it was called. But when I actually did that episode, I broke it all down. I explained everything. I talked about where I was wrong. I talked about where she was wrong. But we did not steal that room from her. She had no agreement with that room. I was trying to hook her up with that room. AJ stepped in to help me out, and because AJ stepped in to help me out, she has forever been shitty with AJ, which I get it if you don't like me. I get it if you feel something towards me, but AJ is just a good person. AJ is a very pure soul. That's what it is. That's the best way I can put it. So when you have somebody like Delilah, and AJ hit me up because the night that Delilah did her second open mic, where she was holding an open mic, running an open mic, the headliner was going to be Lex Las Vegas. Now, I'm cool with Lex Las Vegas. I consider Lex Las Vegas to be a friend. Lex Las Vegas runs Vegas Action and Entertainment page on Facebook. But I don't always like the people he hangs out with. For some reason, he humors people like Delilah. Like the other night when we were at Backstage Bar and Billiards, he referred to Delilah as like the diva of Las Vegas. No. Divas are talented. That's what you have to understand about the term diva. Diva is somebody that's, maybe a little bit difficult, maybe a little particular, but they are just a beast in their field. Delilah is not a beast in the comedy field. Delilah can't even do a decent set most nights. I've heard that she has had some decent sets before, but I have not actually witnessed them. I have not even seen her do all right. Like, I've seen her make a couple jokes pop, but I haven't seen her have an actual good set. So you can't call somebody a diva when they're not actually good at what it is they're supposed to be good at. Then the other thing with Delilah is on the night of Cameron Ramirez's memorial, which if you remember Cameron Ramirez, he was the newer comic who had died not too long ago, tragically, terribly, but when they were having the memorial for him, which was held at the Artifice, I wasn't there because, I had already caused drama by showing up to a particular event to just grieve with everybody else. And so I knew that me grieving like everybody else wasn't really an option at that point. I didn't feel like I had to show up to the memorial anyway. I wasn't trying to play the part. I was legitimately sad on that Monday. So then we get to Artifice, which I think was the following day. So then they get to Artifice, which I think was the following day when they did the memorial there. And I was like, okay, well, I don't need to show up to another memorial or mourning ceremony. You know, I've already done that, and that caused a problem. And I'm really not trying to cause problems with people, regardless of what people think. And so AJ had gone though, AJ and somebody else, and that's when Delilah was good and hot over the Ocha situation, because we had just started Ocha. And so at the end of the night, there was a situation where AJ was actually talking to Cameron's widow, who I think her name is Alexandra, or maybe it's Alexandria, whichever way, no disrespect. But he was talking to her just really quick because they had had a car stopped in front of him, and he was back there patiently waiting. And then Alexandria had noticed that he was waiting, and so she said something to him like, you know, have a good night or something like that. And then Delilah, keep in mind that this is a person's memorial that's just died. She's standing next to the person's widow. AJ has said nothing rude to her. You know, he just told them to have a good night, ladies, or something like that. And then, you know, like I said, Cameron's widow said the same thing back, like a good night type of thing. And then Delilah was, oh no, I hope that motherfucker dies tonight. I hope that motherfucker dies. Why would you say that at somebody's memorial? Like, everybody talks like I'm crazy or unhinged, and then Delilah does stuff like that, and everybody acts like, oh, that's just Delilah. No, that shouldn't be Delilah, especially on a night like that. Like, you aren't watching. You don't see the pain on everybody's faces. You don't see how serious death is, even when somebody's just died. Like, that's truly sick in your head shit. That's why I say Delilah needs to get on medication before I would ever consider talking to her again. And we would never be friends because she's already shown her true self. And I don't ever want to be friends with somebody like that. But at least we could be at like where I feel like she could even be around me if she were just able to get on meds, be on meds for a year or two, get all that shit adjusted, let herself settle down, because at first when you take meds, you're going to have a little bit of an adjustment period. But I do not like what she is. So the next thing that happened was AJ showed up to Delilah's open mic, which that was the same night I was doing the show for Competition Zero, which I'm going to be doing another show for them on April 22nd, I believe it is. And so when that happened, the first night that I did the show for Competition Zero, I had asked all my friends to be there just because I wanted a lot of people to meet the guys from Competition Zero. AJ said that he wanted to go support Lex because Lex was going to be headlining the open mic for Delilah. So he said he wanted to go see Lex and also to get some stage time. And I was like, well, look, you know, if you want to go support Lex and you also want to get some stage time, I can definitely understand that, like comic to comic. So even though I asked you to be at my show, I'm completely fine with that. Go do that, because I can introduce you to the guys from Competition Zero another time, because like I said, I'm going to be working with them a little bit. And so I was like, you know, full blessing and full like encouragement, like, yes, AJ, go do that. So AJ gets there, he signs up on early because he was first on the list, literally first on an open mic list. Delilah goes through the entire list, which I don't know what it was, like 20 comics or whatever, does not call AJ up ever.
I don't see how cock blocking you from a stage is going to get me more stage time.
Does not give AJ stage time. She knows he's there. Other comics are asking him when he's going up, if he's going up. He signed up first and he hasn't gone up. Lex headlines a show. I had just finished my show at Competition Zero. I wanted to congratulate Lex on doing his first ever headlining set. And so I went over to Delilah's venue, which is out in Henderson, which, you know, if you're proud of yourself for running a room in Henderson, I guess, but I don't think anybody moves to Las Vegas to make it in Henderson. But that's besides the point. That's me editorializing. But so she doesn't let AJ go up. I show up after the show. I didn't know AJ hadn't gone up. I didn't know what had happened. I was just there to congratulate Lex. So Lex always does these selfies, you know, where he'll have all of us get in the picture. And I had taken a picture with Lex real quick in the selfie that had like the group selfie. Delilah was inside at the time. So then Delilah's camera guy comes outside. You know, he's got his camera. It was a decent looking camera, you know, a professional grade camera. and he's taking pictures of, like the crew, or decides to take pictures of the crew. I happen to be talking to everybody, the comics had been at the show. And so I go ahead and excuse myself from the picture. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to be in this picture. And I did say it like that. And it wasn't to be rude, but it was just to be very clear about the fact that I didn't want to be in the picture, because everybody was going to notice me getting out of the picture anyway. And people had been like, hey, like there was a quick, like, hey, why don't you take the picture? And I was like, no, I don't take these pictures like this, because I don't want to be pictured with Delilah at this point. I don't want people to think that I might be friends with Delilah or I endorse anything she does. I was just there to possibly catch Lex's set or the end of Lex's set and congratulate him. That's all I wanted to do, because I am friends with Lex, like I said. But as far as me being seen with Delilah, I do not want to be in a picture with Delilah. And it also wasn't just as catty as that. Delilah wasn't wearing her dry wig that night, or one of her dry wigs that night. That night she was wearing this curly wig that has a hard-ass wig line. And I mean, when I say hard-ass wig line, I mean hard-ass wig line. Like, it looks like she's not even being serious with that wig line. But I felt like I was 7 days out from my hernia surgery, and the doctor said I'm not supposed to lift heavy things. So I didn't want to be pictured with that heavy wig line and have my doctor possibly see it online and be like, hey, I told you to stay away from heavy things, because that wig line was heavy. I don't know what she was doing with that, or what she's doing with that hard-ass wig line. But anyway, like, I didn't want to take the picture with her. I didn't want to be in the picture. And then she tried to make that a thing too. And then she was like, one of her friends, when I walked by, was like, but we going to be on TV? Bitch, I've been on TV. So I don't know what you're talking about. We going to be on TV. When you get on TV, tell me about it. And also, well, don't tell me about it, because I don't want to talk to you. But then talk about the fact that you're going to be on TV. And then we can all clown you, because who really wants to be on TV at this point? At this point, TV is more of a strike against you than it is a credit for you. I mean, like, if you have your own popular show on a streaming service or even on social media, that's more relevant than some TV show, which you're not going to be on a TV show anyway. Nobody likes Delilah like that. She's not nearly as interesting as she thinks she is, even though she says,
I am boring.
That's not the way she feels about it. Instead, she really thinks she's doing something. And so it's like, okay, think you're doing something. Think you're somebody. But I don't want to be in a picture with you, and that shouldn't hurt your feelings. I also wasn't on your show. So why would I want to be in a picture with somebody that I don't like, pretending that I was on a show that I wasn't on? Like, it just makes no sense to me. In a way, it's almost a respectful thing if you think about it, because why would I want to take any of the shine from her night? And once I jump in that picture, Delilah no longer matters. Delilah she doesn't make news. Nobody's talking about her anywhere I go. Every once in a while, I'll clown her about that loose-ass corset, or we'll laugh about her dry-ass wigs and her hard wig lines, because I will clown like crazy. And it's only because she goes out of her way to bully people that she knows won't do anything to her. Like, when it comes to AJ, she's constantly trying to bully him, and I don't understand why she tries to do that. But if you're going to go after AJ like that, I most definitely will have fun at your fat, sloppy expense, Delilah. And that's the way I feel about it. Like, I don't feel any need to save her feelings. I don't feel any need to be particularly nice to her. I also don't feel a need to talk directly to her and try to straighten anything out or anything like that. No, you're a dumb bitch that's not funny with a fucked up wig. That's what it is. You can't tighten a corset. Somebody should stick their foot in your back and fucking pull those fucking laces for you so you can wear a corset like it's actually supposed to be worn. Like, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm tired of having to be nice to people or pretending to be nice to people that A, don't fucking matter, B, don't do shit, and C, will never fucking matter and never do shit. That's what it is. And I know that people will act like you're mean. No, mean is all the shit that she's been doing to other people, like AJ. And also, like I said, I like Lex Las Vegas, but he's got a real record for continuing to hang out with people that aren't worth a fuck. And I don't know what he thinks he's getting from that. Like, if he would ever notice, it's actually the good people that he hangs out with, like Trez Mala, Penny Prince, me. Those are the people that are actually elevating him. Those are the people that actually give a fuck about you. Not the people like Delilah. Not the people like the person you were hanging out with before that wasn't paying people. That's where you fuck up, Lex. And yeah, like I said, I really do like Lex in certain ways, but in certain ways, I just can't respect that part of it. Because when I see people watching all of this shitty behavior happen, as much as everybody likes to act like it's just entertainment, you're right. I will make it into entertainment. But if you notice, I'm the one putting in all the legwork work making this into entertainment. These other motherfuckers aren't really carrying their weight, aren't really contributing. But at the same time, sometimes I do feel like, can we ever just be about the comedy? Speaking of being about the comedy, tonight at Wise Guys was absolutely amazing. So many of the comics were really fucking bringing it tonight, and it's such a good atmosphere. And what's going to continue to happen, and I'm going to tell you guys this is my next prediction. What's going to continue to happen is this scene is going to continue to get better, and people are going to see not only what I contribute to the scene, but also the positive force that I will be in the people's lives that I actually like. Like how much, because my thing is, I don't get anything from taking down Ian. I don't get anything from taking down Delilah. I don't get anything from taking down Gooch. I don't get anything from taking these people down. What I do get something from is elevating myself. So rather than bring these people down, I would like to elevate myself and everything around me. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to elevate myself and everything around me. That's why I put out the Comedy Tip Tuesdays for free, is so that smart people can benefit from them, smart comics can learn from them, and hopefully smart comics on the Vegas scene. And a lot of Vegas comics tell me that they listen to Comedy Tip Tuesday. They'll ask me if I'll actually watch their set, and if I'm in the room and I'm able to catch your set, I will watch your set. If I have a couple pointers to give you, I'm not going to try to charge you money for that or anything like that. I'll give you a couple quick pointers. If you try to work me, I'm going to charge you. But if you just say like, hey, do you mind watching my stuff and telling me maybe what you think I need to work on? If I can give you a quick one like that, I'll give you a quick one. If you come out to Ocha, you ask for my advice, maybe you don't ask for my advice and I just think you're slowing down the room, or I see what you can be doing differently, or I can help you out in some way. I'm gonna help you out. The thing is, I'm not at all what people are trying to make it seem like, and I don't feel like I have to go out of my way to say that over and over to prove it. I think all you have to do is see me and be around me and see the kind of people that I fuck with to know that I am what I say I am, and I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do. So where people like Ian Rineer will try to split us all up and then at the same time act like Thai Rivera is trying to split us up. No, Thai Rivera isn't trying to split us up. Thai Rivera isn't even trying to split himself from you, Ian. Thai Rivera has admitted that you could be very important to the Vegas comedy scene, and in a way you are right now very important to the Vegas comedy scene. But what you need to do is get out of your own way, and that's me being a better friend to you than anybody else around you. Is I'm being honest enough to tell you that you are embarrassing yourself. You are making a fool of yourself on the regular now, and you are really proving me right. Like the entire time he talked about me, it had to be 15 minutes solid that you hear him talking about me on this video, you know, and it's like him background, so I need everything else brought down, you know, I need the sound fixed on that so you can actually hear what it is he's saying. But once you hear it, you'll be like, yeah, he was talking about Ty the whole time. For somebody that doesn't care about Ty, he sure does talk about him a lot. And I wasn't talking about him at all. Like everything was just happening around me where, like I said, comics were coming around me just to make sure that everything was going to be all right. I wasn't going to get sucker punched or anything like that. But that was actually happening. And so a lot of people saw it, and I think he was too drunk to really realize it. And I think he's also drunk on his own power. So sometimes he thinks like, you know, nobody would say anything to him anyway, but people are going to get very tired of him. When what I was saying is I'm going to elevate everything so much that there's not going to be any room for that bottom feeder shit. Like the kind of shit Delilah's doing, you're already seeing her less and less. Like she runs a room so that she can actually have a place to go up, because a lot of people don't care about her. Like she did backstage bar and billiards that night that I was there. She wasn't wearing a wig, so I know I got through to her on some level. She was maybe wearing a little bang piece, but she wasn't wearing full-on hair. And maybe that little bang piece was all she was in the mood to moisten. But anyway, my point is these people aren't going to be around much longer because people only have so much time for it. Like the other comics are starting to get tired of it too. More and more people are seeing what I'm talking about, and more people do want to put in the work. Like that's what's happening with the Vegas comedy scene. It's some exciting things are happening here, and it's better to just actually work on what we're supposed to work on as comics. I will continue to use this as a platform to not only talk about the people that are doing shady stuff on Vegas comedy scene, but also to uplift and shout out the people that are actually doing good on the Vegas comedy scene. But all the rest of the shit, you can keep that. Like if you want to be toxic and you want to talk about me for however long you want to talk about me, you talk about me all you want. I did an episode of Comedy Tip Tuesday not too long ago where I said that being liked doesn't matter. And I proved that when Ian was there, because he was trying to be shady and talk shit even while I was on stage. And I addressed him at one point where I talked about the fact that somebody in the corner had more to say about me than I probably had to say about myself. And that got like a quick chuckle from everybody because everybody knew what was happening. But then I went into the material that I was working on. I had a good set working on the material that I was working on, which was new stuff, and doing new stuff in a place like the Dive Bar isn't the easiest, but I prove why I'm Thai Rivera all the time. So when people like Ian, respect my authority, Rineer say over and over, who does he have that I don't have? Thai Rivera is who I have that you don't have, Ian. Respect my authority, Rineer. And that's what bothers you the worst, is I won't be subservient to you and I won't do what it takes to actually work for you, because I don't think you're anybody, and I don't think you're anybody to work for. I just don't. I think you are probably one of the worst influences in your current form on the Vegas comedy scene. I really do. I don't like you. I don't respect you. I don't even think you need to be around at this point. You stay around for as long as you feel you need to, though. I'm not trying to chase anybody off the scene. I'm not in charge of anything. As long as you continue to be a puppet for me and give my comics a place to actually work out, or more places to work out, that's all I need you for, and you're doing your fucking job, and you're working for me just like Delilah does. So Ian Rineer is the new employee of the month. Maybe I'll do it in half months or employee of the week, because, you know, Delilah was just employee of the month not too long ago. And I still stand by that. She really was advertising me, even if she didn't realize it. She's giving me the big ups. And the same thing's happening with Ian Rineer. He thinks that he's somehow doing a disservice by talking about me. I've already heard everything people have to say about me. Nothing is going to hurt my feelings, Ian. So you talking about me just gives me more reasons to talk about you, makes more views for Unbothered by Thai Rivera, and also shines a spotlight, like I said, on your shitty behavior and also what it is I'm contributing to the comedy scene. So people are going to eventually stop concentrating on the negativity that you're bringing to the comedy scene, and they're going to see what I'm bringing to the comedy scene, and there's going to be a real, like, you could fuck with this or you could fuck with that situation. So everybody stay unbothered. This has been Thai Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.